Welcome to Women of the Wild,
where education and opportunities are key,
and friendships are made to last a lifetime.
Did you get it?
You think we got him? You think we got him? We got him.
All right, Skylar, what do we got here?
We got a nice looking rip-off.
Oh, there she is. You dropped our great ghost.
Give me a hug.
Welcome back to Season 2 Women of the Wild podcast. We would like to first start off by thanking our title sponsors for the 2024 year. Atlantic Coral Enterprise, one of the largest import dealers in the world with excellent quality for hides, skulls, shells, and amazing gifts for friends and family or even your household. You can find them at atlanticcoralenterprise.com. RM Custom Called, multiple world championships from Main Street to Live Duck. American made, veteran owned. When you want to win on the stage or in the blind, we have you covered. Small shop, big sound. You can find them at rmcustomcall.com or on Instagram. We also have Rhino Land Safaris, providing exceptional quality with unmatched hospitality and cuisine, offering African safaris, a destination hunt for the avid rifle or bow hunter with some of the best trophy management South Africa has to offer. You can find them at rhinoland.co.za or on Facebook, Instagram.
Hey everyone, Andy Lehman here from ACC Crappie Sticks. Just want to let you know about our crappie baits and jig heads. We have a wide selection of the hottest colors and big eye crappie jig heads in the most popular colors and sizes. Check them all out at accrappiesticks.com. Thank you.
And now for today's episode, we hope you enjoy. Hi, welcome back to Season 2 Women of the Wild with your host, Felicia Marie. I am here with a fantastic guest who is about supporting our conservation efforts, bringing everything to light, and a female in the industry that is really paving a way. And so I'd like to start off by saying, welcome, Jana. It's a pleasure to have you. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat today, all things hunting, whether it's conservation, education. You know, I've been really blessed to be a hunter pretty much my whole life. My father got me into bird hunting when I was in grade school. So I'm excited to talk with you today and answer any questions you might have, and we'll touch on some super fun topics.
So that's where you got started, was bird hunting, like upland or waterfowl?
Both. I grew up in the state of Wisconsin, and I was the second daughter, and I know my dad really wanted a boy. But he saw in me really this innate love of nature. I was always outside versus my sister, who was always inside, you know, super smart, reading books, and, you know, she was always in a room, and we just could not be more different. But he noticed my love of nature, so he fostered that. He would let me sit with him in the duck blinds when I was little. He would let me walk the pheasant fields with him. And then when I was in 6th grade, we started doing road trips to South Dakota for the big pheasant hunt. And that was my big introduction into hunting, was through my dad. He was smart enough to sign me up for hunter safety when I was 12, back in 1983. You can do the math. But really, you know, back in the 80s, there weren't a lot of women in, you know, the hunter ed programs. So, and then when I was a freshman in college, I picked up a bow for the first time and have been bow hunting over 3 decades and really into big game hunting. And then when I moved out west to Montana from Wisconsin, now 14 years ago, I believe, that's when I really kicked off my show and my love of big game hunting, all things big game, from bear, elk, muleys, whitetail, antelope, mountain lion, wolf, you name it. It's kind of all been on the docket the last decade and a half, and I've been really blessed to be working in the hunting industry in the last 14 years.
Yeah, you have an incredible journey that is
if someone isn't following you, they should be, because especially as females, you're such an iconic role to so many women. You're such an inspiration. You're kind of the jack of all trades. You're out alligators and carp and everything else. And it's pretty neat to see that you don't have just like one streamlined thing. I mean, you're up doing mountain goats, you're doing bighorn, you're kind of all over the place.
Yeah, it's been a really fun journey. I love the word journey because I still feel like, after literally hunting 40 years, I still feel like I'm learning, and whether it's a new species or a new weapon, I've been hunting with a shotgun, a bow, a pistol now, a muzzleloader, rifle, like every weapon known to man. And it's just so fun. And I hope I can stack on a ton more that I haven't done. I used to actually, before I moved out to Montana, I was always a hunter, but I wasn't in the hunting industry. I didn't work in the hunting industry like I do now. I was actually working for 10 years in the financial industry. And then before that, outside sales, and I did radio advertising sales and just, the typical 9-to-5er. And we started my show really because my ex, who was my cameraman and producer, he was producing another show called Nosler's Magnum TV on the Outdoor Channel. And we got to kind of brainstorming and we said, there's hardly any solo female hosted shows out there. Why don't we do one? And so we went to Africa, which is an opportunity in a course of 10 days to get like 5 hunts, under your belt. We filmed a couple turkey shows and whitetail shows and a bear episode, and we put a pilot together. We also incorporated my skull art, which is why it's called Skullbound. My show is called Skullbound. And then I have my spin-off show, Skullbound Chronicles. But we incorporate my skull work because I like to do that artwork that raises money for conservation groups. And so we kind of tied all that in. We pitched it to the Sportsman's Channel. They said, heck yeah, let's go. And it was 9 years on the Sportsman's Channel, which is a pretty big run. Most TV shows have an on-air average of 3 years. And then started playing around with the idea of going all digital. And so in the 9th year of Skullbound, I put Skullbound Chronicles on Carbon TV, and it did so well that the following year I just jumped ship, and now I'm exclusively on Carbon TV with Skullbound Chronicles.
Yeah, it's quite an amazing journey. And you actually brought up something with your skull artistry. It's absolutely beautiful. You do this beating on skulls. And I'd love to kind of talk about that, because that was kind of like your inspiration of like doing a lot with all of this, correct? Like it really, your artistry is incredible. And I've seen some of the auctions raising that money for conservation, and again, having that conversation and bringing that to light. So I'd love to dive into that.
Sure. Before I started Skullbound, I was a skull artist pretty much just for fun. I did a couple pieces for some clients back in Wisconsin, and I was in a small art gallery in Wisconsin, but really it was more for fun than anything else. And I was in the beginning painting skulls that I had found in the woods, whitetail skulls, or ones that I had gotten at rummage sales or flea markets or eBay, longhorn steer skulls, buffalo skulls, you name it. And then I started slowly evolving into stoning them or beating them. And they're so different from one will look like it's all Swarovski crystals and, very blinged out. And the next one could be very masculine looking with stones and arrowheads. I try to do them, there's a Southwest style that I like to do too, with tons of turquoise, but they're all completely different. And it has been so much fun. For a while there, for over a decade, I was doing them for people across the country. They would send me their skulls and pick out a design, and I would send them back. And I really don't do that anymore. I just don't have time. The only thing I do now is skull work for conservation groups, for my particular conservation groups that I belong to. Totally, between my husband and I, we belong to 15 different conservation groups. So it gets a little overwhelming at times to like keep it all straight. But no, it's been a total blessing to be able to have this creative outlet of beating skulls, and then to know I'm raising good money for my passion, which is hunting and wildlife. And so like my biggest skull that ever went to auction, the highest price I ever got was for over 14,000. I think it was 14,500 for a skull that my husband auctioned off last year. This year I did a really unique beaded skull that went to Expo that brought 7,500. So total over the last 14 years of my skulls donated to conservation, I've raised over $110,000, which it really adds up, and it's easy to do. it's just something I love to do and I'm passionate about. Luckily, there's always a couple of bidders bidding high, and it's just a great way to give back to what I love, which is hunting and the great outdoors.
Yeah. So, and your one this year was incredible. Like I remember seeing that. What was the foundation that it went to last year?
Last year's the same. So all of those that I donate to the Hunt Expo go to the Mule Deer Foundation.
Okay.
But I donated to the National Wild Turkey Federation, Safari Club International, a couple of my other I'm really into veteran causes as well. And I've donated some to some great vet causes. But yeah, it's really fun. And every auction is so different. You never know what they're going to bring. But Hunt Expo, that crowd is just passionate, diehard people who, they tend to bid on really high-end conservation tags. So there's a lot of money in the crowd. And no, it's really, really exciting. This year I was the MC for Saturday night's big auction. So it's always a little awkward when I'm like, okay, auction item next up. It's a beaded skull by Jana Waller. Like, it's kind of weird to be the MC, but it's kind of funny at the same time. But no, I'm just always so impressed what people are willing to pay and willing to donate to the Mule Deer Foundation. So it's fun.
Saw the mule Jiggy.
Oh yeah, yeah. So every year they're Jake and his crew, they're breeders of incredible mules. They always auction off a mule and it rides into the banquet hall. And mind you, this banquet hall is like 2,000 people, maybe 2,500 people who are there having a classy dinner. It's all, beautiful tables with decoration. And it's like almost going to like a really high-end wedding. And in walks Jiggy, this gorgeous mule. And it just goes to show you how well trained they are. Like, she just came through the crowd. They spun her around. She went back and forth down the aisle. I think she went for, I want to say $35,000, which is a nice price for a mule. But it's just goes to show you, the temperament of the mule, number one, how well they're trained. And it's a highlight of the expo every year.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. And like, you're right, you're seeing that many people, all that sound, the lights, and this mule's just walking through like nothing. And you guys got the music playing and you're talking. And I just thought that was really neat. And I did read that I believe it's Clay Newcomb is working on one for next year's. So that's because a lot of people don't know that he does a lot of work with mules. And I thought that was pretty neat that after they posted that he was talking about, I think his is coming up for next year.
I'm a huge fan of Clay's. He's, his Bear Grease podcast is awesome. He's just super passionate about bear hunting as well as I am. And he's really into educating people, which is what you are all about. And I love his just delivery is, it's educational, but fun. And if there's one thing that is so misunderstood by the non-hunting community, it's predator hunting. Whether you're talking bears, mountain lions, coyotes, wolves, you name it. And Clay does a really good job of just explaining the importance of predator hunting. So I'm a huge fan.
Yes. Yeah. The education aspect, a lot of people don't know and they don't understand when it comes to wolves. I mean, even here in Michigan, we have coyotes as a year round right now. And that's up for debate right now if we still should have that year round. And it's like, they're coyotes. No, they're not being managed in the way that they should be. First of all, there's not enough people predator hunting and there's not enough education behind it. So those advocates for the outdoors are so important because it's so misunderstood. Like I have a deep, deep passion for South Africa and having that conversation of, yes, it is trophy hunting, but it's trophy hunting that is feeding so many people that those meals are feeding villages, that you're building an economy for someone that typically wouldn't have one without you. So I think it's really good to have, and he does so much about small game and everything, but you, to jump back onto your story and your journey, I'd like to talk about what you do and kind of your way of advocating through your show, through your artwork. We talked about that you do these for donation, but for those who haven't seen Skullbound Chronicles is a really nice episode series that people can tune in and watch. And you do a lot of advocating for that conservation effort through that. So I'd love to dive into that of kind of like how you do that and what is that importance to you? Obviously, it's to keep those next generations going and keeping those rights strong. But just curious of your input of that, of what your mission, if you could tell someone like, this is why you should watch this, and this is my mission behind this show.
My mission behind the show from day one, which has never changed, has always been to show that we hunters are the biggest animal lovers and that we do more for animals than any other single group out there. And that's very, it's a very deep topic, but to really sum it up, non-hunters, antis, I'm going to leave that. That's a separate category. The non-hunting community of people who they're not maybe for hunting or against hunting. They just haven't grown up with it and they've not thought a whole lot about it. They've also not been, exposed to it. So those are the people that we really need to reach. My mission has always been to show that we're animal lovers because I truly am. I even when I was younger, wanted to be a vet when I was young. It was just too much math and science for my brain. But I do. I love helping animals. I love, and people who don't come from a hunting family often have a total disconnect there. They don't understand how we can love animals and how we can hunt animals. And for me in Skullbound, I've just always wanted to keep it real and authentic and not be too heavy-handed. I do love education and I do love promoting my passion, but I try to do it in a simply come along with me sort of attitude. My show is, that's half the reason I went to a digital format, is I wanted it to be free for everybody. I think subscription-based hunting shows anyway don't do as well. They don't do as well as the YouTube and the Carbon TVs of the world. People want to watch their content for free. They want to watch it when they want to watch it, whether it's on work break or, in between school classes, or maybe their spouse is watching something else. And so they hop on their phone with earbuds. They want to watch it when they want to watch it. And that's the beauty of Carbon TV is it's all digital, just like YouTube. Although the beauty of it over YouTube is they're never going to censor me. I have a ton of friends who have shows on YouTube. They get censored all the time. They'll get a big red circle with a / warning, or they simply get, I have a friend who has a gun law show on YouTube, and she literally gets her channel shut down all the time. And she's just trying to explain what our true rights are in this country. And YouTube is not a friend of guns. They're not a friend of predator hunting or hunting in general. So that is why I chose to jump to Carbon TV, because it's owned by hunters. It's very pro hunting, pro guns, pro shooting, pro outdoors, and pro trapping. And it's kind of your one-stop shop. And now they've become the biggest outdoor platform there is. And it's just fun to be able to have a show where I can sort of take viewers along, show them whatever I'm doing. And like you said, it's pretty diverse. This last week, I was bow fishing carp in Idaho. It could be bow fishing alligators or big heads or stingrays like I did this year in Maryland, to rifle hunting elk and muleys, or archery hunting whitetails and antelope and bear. And you never know what you're going to get on Skullbound. But my way of educating is basically just doing my show and showing all of the steps along the way. Not a heavy-handed way of, okay, this is what you have to do. No, there's a lot of ways to go about all sorts of different species and all sorts of different hunts. But I really think I pride myself in being super authentic. There could be a time where I'm on a hunt where I've never done it before, like Sitka in Maryland, or I was just stingray bow fishing and I had no idea, how do you see them? What are we looking for? Do we go during the day? Do we go during the night? What kind of arrow tips do we need to use? Just kind of talking through the whole experience on the show, whether it's new or not. I also like to do a little bit of educational shows that have nothing to do with really the hunt. I've put a couple out there, like how to can bear meat, especially during COVID, when everybody was stuck not doing anything. Hunting was booming, fishing was booming. And obviously first time in our lives where we've walked into a grocery store and maybe the meat department's completely empty. Right. So people are really starting to think, about, even non-hunters really got into hunting during COVID because they're realizing they want healthy organic meat to be able to fill their freezers for the year. And so I did how to can bear meat. That was very step-by-step educational. I've also done one during COVID that's make camping great again, because really it was one of the few things we could all get out and do. And there's a lot of people that were new to camping during COVID. So I just did a bunch of little, easy tips and tricks to make camping fun for your family, easy for the kids, how to cook your meals, what kind of gear to take, how to stay warm. The difference between, backcountry camping and truck camping, as I call it, from your truck. So that was a really fun episode. And that was definitely, I would list that under the educational side of things. But really, you never know what you're going to get on Chronicles. And the fun thing now is I have my own network channel. So all of my episodes are on Skullbound TV, and that is my own channel. It's 14 years of episodes circulating, and that channel is on 31 other networks. So it's on Carbon TV right under their live heading. You can turn on Skullbound. You never know what you're going to get. There's commercials in between the episodes, just like a regular History Channel, Nat Geo channel, but it's just circulating episodes. Or I have Skullbound Chronicles on Carbon TV, which is on demand. You can pick and choose, oh, I want to watch that bear hunt or that antelope hunt. You get to pick and choose. The FAST channel, Skullbound TV, is super exciting. It's been pitched in now on 31 different networks. The biggest one people probably heard of is Local Now. So Local Now is not just a weather channel like it used to be. There's thousands of free channels on Local Now. It's all free. And they have a big sports section. And I'm Skullbound TV is under the sports section. It's channel 2112. But yeah, it's funny. The way people are watching their TV is completely changing. In the last 5 years, it's just had a huge overhaul. So it's super exciting to have that channel kind of be shown on all these networks that maybe aren't necessarily marketed towards the hunter, which is what we need. Like we talked about, we need to reach that non-hunting community. But also then you've got Carbon TV, which is absolutely geared towards the hunters, the anglers, the four-wheelers, the outdoorsmen and women. But it's really nice to be on different platforms to reach different people.
Yes, yeah, that's very important. And like you were saying, it's those uneducated that you're trying to reach. It's not that you're going to convert an anti-hunter over. Like could it happen? Maybe, but probably not. It's worth having the conversation, but typically it's going to be an argument, so it's better to just not engage. But taking those people, and I hate to use the term naive, but I do, that might be naive to the fact of what hunting really is, and spreading that education and having that conversation of, okay, this is what we're doing, but this is why we're doing it. And I love your come with me, experience it with me, because that's when you could possibly waver that point of view from, oh, I don't like that, to, oh, that was kind of neat. Maybe I should do this. And I think that is so important, that it's not, like you said, you're not cramming it down somebody's throat of this is why you should hunt, but this is why I do it. See if you like it.
Right.
I think that's a really great way to do it.
Yeah. Mainstream media, which is where a lot of people get their news, a lot of people get their influence. A friend of mine who's a Hollywood actor, he calls it global Hollywood. Like whatever comes out of global Hollywood is what the average person listens to music wise, watches movies, TV shows that are promoted, our entertainment. And global Hollywood or the mainstream media does not do us hunters any favors. They paint us as these, tobacco chewing, shooting from the pickup truck, not caring about wildlife. They don't portray us in a positive light and show the story of what hunting really is. And so we're left on our own to tell that story. It can be really hard to reach that non-hunting community in ways. A lot of times when people see stuff on the news, it's negative stuff, right? It's they use the word trophy hunting as this negative connotation, or they, talk about stories of poaching, which poachers are not hunters. It is really important that we tell our story in any way, shape, or form, whether it's through your own personal social media or you have a show. It's important to tell our story and our why.
Yeah. And I love the fact of it doesn't always have to be a harvest too, right? It's okay to go out and say, hey, we didn't get anything.
Oh yeah.
Hey, we didn't, waterfowl hunts, people want to see those big piles, but that's not reality. And the fact that you show that it's not a success every time, or maybe it took you 5 days of a hunt and on that last final day it connected, or maybe it didn't, and that's okay. But I think, right, a lot of people view hunters as a whole, as a poacher, when in all reality, no honest hunter, any good-hearted hunter is not for poaching. We are against that as well. So it's like a band where they don't understand we're against it just as much as you are, probably even more so, because that's what's tearing our rights apart and portraying us in that bad and negative light, that we're not just out there they call you a murderer and you're just out there doing these things and, receiving death threats over taking an animal's life. I'm not sure where our society flipped that it's okay to to say that you're going to take a human's life for taking an animal's life, like that's not something I've ever quite understood, where we tip that scale. But I do think it's so important to have that conversation with these people that just truly don't know, because that's how you're going to get educated and you're going to draw those new hunters in.
Well,
Or
unfortunately,
on
the
our youth.
anti-hunters also too, they're a powerful force. The anti-hunters use propaganda. You know, even my mom, who, you know, needs a reminder of, you know, she doesn't need a reminder of what hunting is, but she'll get these postcards in the mail, you know, save the wolf. And the cute little wolf puppies on the front. Oh, that's so sweet. I want to give $10. Mom, stop giving the $10. They're not doing anything but furthering their agenda, which is to stop hunting. They of course care about the wolf. I'm not saying that they don't, but they also don't listen to the science at all. What I want to know is why they don't care about the wolf who's hamstringing, you know, the cow elk, or ripping the cow's calf from her belly, leaving it, you know, alive while it chomps on. I've seen that myself. I've seen video of a pack of wolves taking down 33 bulls out of Yellowstone. Like, why don't they care about that? And that wolf is going to have a pack. And in a year, that pack's going to be 2 packs. And that poor cow elk is going to have 1, maybe 2 babies, and one might survive. After a while, the numbers just don't make sense. You simply have to manage them like every other predator: coyotes, bobcats, mountain lions, wolves, like we talked about. And it's just sad how the anti-hunters use that propaganda on social media and in mailings. And, Sarah McLachlan singing in the background of these caged little puppies, and people think they're saving little puppies, and they're not. If they do any research, for example, into the HSUS, United States Humane Society, they're the biggest anti-hunter. All of us, like, I personally will donate money to my local Humane Society, and I have in the past, especially when I lived in Wisconsin. We had a great Jefferson County Humane Society. That is absolutely different than HSUS, the Humane Society of the United States. The HSUS is an absolute anti-hunting organization that sends out their little postcards and their mailings and their email broadcasts to try to get money to say they're doing this and that, when really they don't put any other money for animals. And you can research it online and find out that they are absolutely red flagged as an organization. But people don't tend to do the research. They don't necessarily listen to the truth or the science behind it all. And that's why it is so important that we try to rationally tell our story. Right now there's a big concern across the country of each state's commission, which runs the wildlife division in each state. And a lot of these states they're trying to put in anti-hunters on the wildlife commission board of directors or commission board. And that's scary stuff. It has happened in the state of Colorado, in the state of Oregon, and other areas that tend to lean a little politically different than we do, don't look at wildlife management as we do. And that's the scary thought right now. There's some pretty big things going on the legislative side of things that are trying to take our rights away. And if we don't stand tall together and help fight these, the best way that we can stand together and fight these anti-hunters is to become a member of groups like howl.org, Blood Origins, Mule Deer Foundation, Sportsman's Alliance. There's a ton of them out there. Wild Sheep Foundation. They're not all just species specific. They all work together to sort of, depending on, work together to help us become informed and what we can do. Three of the best ones who do that, who are not species specific, our Blood Origins, howl.org, and Sportsman's Alliance. Sportsman's Alliance really does the battling in the courts. They pay for the attorney costs. They pay for the research. They're awesome group. They were founded years back. They're often, I don't feel they tell their story good enough, because every hunter needs to be a member of Sportsman's Alliance. It's like $35 a year. Like I said, my husband and I belong to 15 of these. Howl.org is just newly on the scene in the last couple of years, but they have gotten some major traction. Become a member so you get the emails, so you understand what's going on, especially if it's in your state and you can write your legislators or send emails or make phone calls. Blood Origins is another one that's telling our story really well of truly what it means to be a hunter and what hunting does for wildlife. That's how we need to band tall together and be stronger in the fight. Obviously, we can all use our social media platforms for sharing this content as well. If you see howl.org or Blood Origin story, share it in your story. They just did a big call out. They're big on the Colorado front right now, but they just did another call out. I can't even think of what I just saw. That really said, okay, let's calling all Montanans or calling all Idaho people. You need to call your legislators, and here's why. I don't know about you, but it's so much to follow, you know. And I hunt all across the country. I need that email that says calling all, I live now in Utah, but calling all Utah people, this is what you need to do, or this is what's going on right now that you need to take action on. You know, I need those reminders. Otherwise, I travel so much, I'm gone all the time. I need someone to help me, you know, figure out what I can do as a person, and then make that phone call, make that email, and then share it on your story so your family and friends in your home state do the same thing. It's critically important right now.
Yes. Yeah. Howl.org is they, like you said, they're new to the home front, right? But they are doing so much behind the scenes. So our listeners, if you haven't looked up howl.org, you really should, or the Sportsman Alliance. I agree with you. Every hunter out there needs to band into these. The reality of it is we're not here to eradicate any species like they think we are. We're here to manage them so their populations aren't exceeding and causing detriment to other populations. We want the balance just as much as an anti-hunter, quite honestly, more. We understand that balance. We understand these animals, that it's not, you're never going to walk in and just want to eradicate a species as a hunter, right? Like you got Texas where with the aoudad overtaking where the bighorn are, there's a management process that has to happen. That's no different than the wolves with Yellowstone, or up here in Michigan, we had those wolves introduced more than 10 years ago, but it's a detriment to our elk population, our whitetails, any small game reality. But it's beyond just predators, right? Like you have nutria down south that are causing this havoc, or hogs down in Texas. It's a balance everywhere that conversation has to happen. And Sportsman's Alliance, Howl, there's so many out there. I mean, your Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, your Sheep Foundation, they're all doing efforts for that. And a lot of people don't realize, like you said, with like the Humane Society being against hunting, against working dogs, a lot of people don't realize that. So just, you're right, having that conversation, having that education, but those emails, those reminders, social media is a great platform, but unfortunately, social media is going to fall on deaf ears unless you see it and act on it. So it's
take action. Yes.
Yes.
And here, I personally know I was a Montana Wildlife Commissioner, and I know because I saw the emails. And my one recommendation is, like we talked about, join, let's say just the Sportsman's Alliance or howl.org for right now, so that you're informed. And so if by chance there's something going on in your state, you're going to get an email that says, this is what's going on. And like, social media is so crazy and so over flooded right now. I don't even see that this stuff is going on sometimes until I get that notification email from these conservation groups or hunting based groups. My recommendation though, is if they say, okay, if you live in Utah, here's your governor's email, or here's your legislator's email that you need to call. Do not copy and paste it. Do not copy and paste the message that they say you can. Change it just a little bit, at least on the front end of things. And the reason being is, yes, it's important to send that email, and they do count it up and say, okay, we got, 532 emails about pro this or con that. It's really important to make it your own, even in the text of the title of the email and in the first few sentences. When I saw emails come through, and I read every single one of them, as did I know the other commissioners did too, but if it's a copy and paste email, you tend to just click through it, right? Okay, they're for it. Okay, they're for it. And it really does mean a lot to change the heading and to change the first sentences of that message I strongly believe in this, because add your own touch to it and your own flair to it, at least in the beginning. And so those commissioners or those board of directors for the wildlife divisions in each state will read those emails. But believe it or not, they don't go unread. They go noticed, and they will kind of tally them up. We always had meetings about issues even before the commissioner meetings. And I just think it's important that we all get involved, like get off the bleachers and get into the game. It's easy just to pass it by. It's easy you see all these yahoos on social media who make comments. And I often say, did you get involved? Did you go to your last commissioner meeting? Because they're all open to the public. Oh, no, I can't. I didn't. I had to go to work. Yeah, well, so does everybody else. Like, get involved. And if nothing else, make the phone calls to your politicians or send the emails if nothing else. It really does make a difference.
It does. It really does. And that ultimately is what we are going to be able to do to band together and stop the hate, right? Like we need, that's our biggest downfall too, as outdoorsmen, is the attack against one another.
Oh yeah.
So having that pushed aside and banding together, and it just doesn't matter. Like if you're doing it ethically in the outdoors, we have tags for a reason. If you are following those restrictions and regulations and you are doing it ethically and legally, I don't care what you shot, as long as it's within regulations. I'm not going to judge you.
I agree with you so 100%. Like, stop bashing on each other. Nothing frustrates me more than yahoos on social media that are like, I would have never shot that buck, or you shouldn't have let your kid shoot that, or just comments that are ridiculous. And it's like, obviously they're showing their lack of education, number one. They're showing their jealousy, number two, which is rampant. And they're showing just their lack of understanding of the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is, while we hunters are bashing on one another, oh, trust me, the antis are collectively gathering speed here, that and making things happen behind our backs at times to take away our rights. So it boggles my mind how many people get on and are negative towards one another. I don't, like you, if you're ethical and legal and you're a happy hunter, great, good for you. And if you're like, let's say maybe your neighbor shoots a spike every year and you're frustrated, well, go have a conversation with them. Maybe take them some brownies and sit down and have a conversation about deer quality management with them. Maybe they don't know. Like you said, it's all about education. Maybe they don't, maybe you should let them grow bigger. Maybe you could develop some type of game management plan where if it's under a 3-year-old, you let it walk. Whatever it is, it doesn't do any good to sit and bash one another and attack each other. And that is always mind-boggling to me, but it is really important, and I'm glad that you brought that up. We need to band together, not only individually to make those contacts, but to, on social media, if not support, just shut your mouth.
Yes.
If you're going to be supportive and you think something negative or you start to type something negative, if it's not going to do anybody any good, erase it. That goes back to kindergarten. If you don't have something nice to say, just don't say anything at all.
Yes. Yeah. And I tell people, engaging in something in a negative way, it's not doing anything but taking that joy away from someone else. And maybe having that conversation, you're going to learn something. Maybe you're going to learn that maybe this gentleman was only able to get out that one time, or maybe this was his daughter's first buck. Who cares? Like, there's a story behind everything, and having that conversation, both parties can learn. And it's, as a hunter, if you aren't learning, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Like, nobody, at no point in anyone's career are you a know-it-all. There's always something to learn, whether it's what to do or what not to do. I love watching education, even on things that I'm proficient in, because I might learn a new way of doing it because I'm self-taught. I didn't grow up in a hunting family. I picked it up one day and was like, I'm going to do this. And, grew up fishing, but hunting was something that I was like, where do I get started? And it was just, you hit the ground running and you go. So I've picked up habits, and I've learned many things throughout some of our own educational courses that I was like, oh my gosh, like I've always done it this way and it works for me, but I'm going to try it that way now because that looks a little bit easier than the way I've been doing it. And I'm over here hurting my back trying to get this deer out of the woods, and you're doing it this way. So it's always, you're either going to learn what to do or what not to do, but it's important to pay attention.
It is. It's also important to realize that I've talked to a lot of women that are kind of timid about maybe getting into hunting or posting about their hunting because they're afraid to get attacked. First of all, it's part of the game. You're gonna. But guess what? That is your social media. I love the ban button. I use the ban and delete button like nobody's business. I think I have over 5,000 people banned on Facebook because, and now mind you, these are my rules. If you ask a question like, I thought mountain lions were endangered, that's not someone being rude. That's someone who truly doesn't know, right? Or like, why are you killing coyotes when you can't eat them? That's someone who's asking a question. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about someone using the C word and the B word, and we're not talking cute. I'm talking someone who is blatantly rude, blatantly name calling. They are not worth your energy. Go figure out who they are, you ban them or block them, and then you go back and erase their comment. I mean, it's actually very empowering. You do not need to let negativity stay up on your social. And it's funny because now there's the button that says delete them and any other accounts they make, because a lot of these antis have 20 accounts. So it looks like there's 20 people attacking you. It's not, it's just Karen in her basement. And so go on. Go in there, block her and any account they may create. And over time, you'll realize it is so far and few between that you get a negative comment because you blocked and banned a lot of them. And it is part of the game. And when you realize that, and you can learn to not take things personally, even if it's personally directed at you. Jana, that is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. I hate your skull art. Okay, that's personal. I don't really care. I'm banning and blocking you, so hopefully you don't come back on and waste my energy again. And to be quite honest, once in a while, there are little stings out there, right? And someone makes a rude comment or, oh, must be nice, you got to go with an outfitter, or, stuff like that. The must be nicers of the world, they get banned too, not just the name callers, but it's your social media. You can control it however you want. And you get thicker skin over the years, and it kind of makes you a stronger person. It makes you deal with adversity a little bit better. Everybody may have a different opinion of how to deal with that, but truly, if someone is being completely rude, name calling and such, they're not worth your time or energy. Block and ban them. And then if they are asking questions, like legitimate questions, it's a great opportunity to, like you said, to educate them.
Yes, absolutely. It's very important. Yeah. We're going to jump to a quick commercial break and hear from our sponsors, but we will be right back, and we will keep having this awesome conversation with Jana Waller.
Share your love of the outdoors with your little ones through the exciting adventures in Dr. Josh Farr's children's books. As an avid sportsman, Dr. Josh Farr has taken his passion for the outdoors and uses his vivid storytelling to teach valuable lessons and appreciation of the world. Learn the alphabet through the ABCs of hunting. Find joy in exploring the outdoors with Let's Go Out and Play and more. You and your child will love learning about nature with Dr. Josh Farr. See all of his books now at drjoshfarr.com. That's drjoshfarr.com.
Weeby Knives, a brand of skinning, fleshing, and butchering knives perfect for the hunters, trappers, and fishermen, with a unique high-quality knife for animals of all shapes and sizes. You can find them and more information at weebyknives.com or on Facebook, Instagram. Stonehouse Digital Consulting. Elevate your small business with Stonehouse's expert marketing solutions. Ignite your online presence and thrive with a tailored strategy to drive your growth. You can find them and more information at stonehousedigitalconsulting.com or on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Livingston County Pheasants Forever, Chapter 465, with a mission to conserve pheasant, quail, and other wildlife through habitat improvements, public access, education, and conservation. You can contribute by joining the meetings on the first Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. at the Howell American Legion Hall on the corner of M59 and Grand River. For more information and to get involved, you can find them at pf465.com or on Facebook, Instagram. Dreamcatcher Charters, a Michigan-based guide service for walleye, sturgeon, and duck hunting, with a passion that drives their success, sharing the phenomenal Michigan waterways with everyone. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram. Feather Moon Outdoors, offering calls made from select materials. Every pot is fine-tuned in the house using the highest quality materials available. Also offering diaphragm, slate, glass, grunt calls, and more. For more information, you can find them at feathermoonoutdoors.com or on Facebook, Instagram. Stay tuned, more podcasts to come.
Welcome back. We are here today with Jana Waller from Skullbound Chronicles, and we are having a great conversation about conservation, about your skull work and everything that you've done with bringing awareness to the outdoors in conservation effort. And we actually just before commercial break had a conversation about this whole thing with social media, right? Like we're falling into this feud in social media where if you don't agree with it, you feel the need to say something and become a keyboard warrior, and how to kind of cope with that, especially as women. We get that, oh, it must be nice, or, oh, it's because you're a girl. No, it's because I worked my ass off, and that's okay. So I think having that conversation too is really important as a female of how you handle that, because there's the weirdos out there. There's the people that are going to send out those threats to you. How do you handle that aside from is it just delete, block, ban, or do you sometimes engage back of, okay, not okay, now you're going to be banned?
Yeah. So I will ban and block someone so fast if they're using super cruel language like name calling or just swearing up a storm, or or the comments, you can just tell in their comment. And often I'll go look and I'm like, you don't even follow me, you jerk. You're like, you know what I'm saying? So they're just seeing something in the feed, and that takes the personal factor off. They don't know who they don't, it's often not personal. It's most of the time not personal. But if they are rude and crude, I ban and block them, and then I'll delete their comment. I do engage with a ton of people, especially if it's an educational, like learning opportunity where I can say, yes, I hunt coyotes and this is why. And I'll explain it, that they're prolific. They have a den of pups every year, and they do a ton of damage on pheasants and turkeys and deer. And, I'll go into that whole thing with them a lot. I also feel like people, you can really tell someone's energy behind a comment. I don't necessarily ban someone if they're making kind of a rude comment, whether it's on a hunt or an artwork, or they might not even realize they're doing this, but I've had people come on and they'll bash a partner of mine. I'm not going to ban them for that, but I'm not going to allow that on my page. Especially since being old and in the game as long as I have, I'm going into my 15th season here. I work with only the best of the best people. And I truly mean that. I'm not a product jumper. I hardly ever switch. Almost all of my partners are the same since day one of Skullbound, which is such a blessing. I work with, seriously, the Noslers, Vortex, Onyx of the world. Just the most incredible companies. There have been a couple of changes over the years, and that can be due to a marketing department's change or decision, not mine, But if someone will say something rude or negative about, like, I don't shoot that ammo, I shoot this. Like, I'm not going to ban them. Okay, I'm not going to ban them for that, but I will erase their comments. But I think it's important for everybody to make their own choices and make their own decisions of what they allow on their social media. But you certainly don't need to. I've heard from people like, I don't ban or block anybody. I'm like, well, shame on you. Like, that's not my take. That's not my opinion. I don't want the negative energy. I have a lot of kids that follow me. I don't want some young kids following and reading some crude guy's comment, So I do think it's really important that we engage in people who truly have questions, and especially if it's a learning opportunity that I can help teach somebody. But I also think it's really important to get rid of the negativity and, get rid of them and block them and ban them.
Yes, absolutely. You have to. And it's just for your own self-peace, if nothing else. But like you said, having these young kids, like I have a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old, and my 14-year-old, he wants to watch Skullbound Chronicles, and he wants to watch Steve Ranella, and he's out there, he's looking up to these things as a young man in the outdoors. I don't want him to see that. I don't want to see him seeing those words, and even getting that almost stain, right? It's like a stain that these people create on other people. Just remove the stains. Carry your Tide stick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that. You're just, sterilizing your social media. I like that.
Yes. So, and it's important because it does. You have one negative person, it can kind of start to leak into other people, and it's easier to keep that out. So I love that that's your tip to that. Another big question that I have for you is, you've been in this industry for so long. You've been so well seasoned in hunting, and you do so many different things. For a female that is just wanting to get in the outdoors and doesn't know where to start, what would be your biggest piece of advice, especially to our females or our youth, even doesn't even have to be females, but somebody that wants to get in the outdoors that doesn't know where to start? What is your biggest tip to those people?
Other than obviously the internet, which truly is a great resource. You're not everything you read is going to be true to fact, but it's a great resource to start. Other than that obvious, I love to tell people to look around your community, and if there's any conservation groups in you or around you, which there are, it might be, you might have to drive 45 minutes or something, but join a conservation group. And here's why. Join a group like the Mule Deer Foundation or the National Wild Turkey Federation or Safari Club International, or because they all have chapter banquets near, or most of them, near or around, even the small towns. They may have it in some of the bigger communities. When you go to a banquet like that, first of all, join. It's usually 25 to 35 bucks. You're going to get email notifications of fun stuff going on. They often have kid events, like they'll meet at the park or like a day of fishing, or even, a day at the range. They'll have events like that you may not have heard of unless you're a member. Your dollars go back towards the cause of conservation, of protecting the hunt and the species of whatever you belong to. And trust me when I say, you do not have to be like into pheasant hunting to join Pheasants Forever. Pheasants Forever does a lot of great work, habitat work that does a lot of wonderful things for a ton of species. It doesn't have to be species specific, mind you. Let's say you don't have elk in your state, but there's a lot of Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation chapters, that you could join, or Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife. If you're in Utah, they're one of my favorite groups. My husband auctions for them all the time. They do so much good. It's crazy what they do for the state of Utah. But when you join a conservation group, you get those emails, you get the notifications of fun stuff, but you also, if you go to the banquet, you're going to meet other hunters, and you're going to be able to meet other women or kids or other hunters. And, while you're there at the banquet, start communication of like, hey, this is my first time. In fact, I did that just this Saturday night, met a couple that had never been to the banquet before. They're like, what do we do? And I'm like, okay, over there's the kid event. Over there is the woman's raffle. Over here is like, go to a banquet and, just tell everybody you're new, and ask if there's any other people that you can get in contact with. Hey, I live out in Jefferson County. I'm kind of new to bird hunting, or I'm new to whitetail hunting. I don't even know where to start. Is there any public land around here? Start that conversation. And those banquets it's a great avenue to meet people in your area who might be willing to take you out and to teach you things. Also, reach out to your state's Department of Natural Wildlife or Wild Fishing Game Department. They often are an incredible resource of how to go about hunting, how to go finding a hunter safety course. Does your state have the mentorship program? The mentorship program is like, I believe, in 39 states now, where you are allowed to go out with a mentor who has a license before going through hunter safety to see if it's something you like. And not everyone should take hunter safety, of course, but maybe you don't have time to do the 8-week course before going out. And, there's a lot of variables that take place. So contacting your state's department, whether it be Fish and Game or, like Wisconsin, it's DNR, and that go onto their website. There's a lot of great programs through their websites of, learn how to fish, learn how to shoot, a day at the park, or even like how to get into bird watching, how to get into falconry. Like, there's really cool things in each state's department that might not even be hunting related.
Right.
So join a conservation banquet near you. Go on the internet, do some research. Even if it's, Carbon TV or YouTube videos there's a lot more how-to videos, I think, on YouTube than on Carbon, but go watch the how-to and then go watch some hunts on Carbon. And I really think that's a great way to learn, get a little bit of watching experience under your belt. And then, honestly, this is going to sound so simple, but it's true. If you want to get into hunting and you're a woman or a kid or a young guy, you wanted to get into hunting, but you don't even know where to start, I guarantee you in your circle of friends is probably a hunter, or maybe of your friends, a parent. Ask for the order. Ask that, hey, would you mind letting me go sit with you for a weekend? Or I've never been hunting. What is it like? Is there any way you'd let me shadow you for the weekend? You're not going to know unless you ask for the order. That's what they taught us in sales. It's kind of uncomfortable, but when people often know that you are a onset hunter or a beginner, they're excited to take you out, where most of us are excited to share the passion. So hopefully with those tips, give your listeners, a little bit more, fire under their butts to join a conservation group and to get involved and get out there, because it is truly, if you've never been hunting before, it is so much more than pulling a trigger. That's just such a small portion of it. And if you're afraid of what to do after you pull the trigger, there's a lot of classes through conservation groups on how to field dress, how to take care of that. What are you going to do with your wild turkey once you get it? There's a lot of how-to videos out there of how to field dress it, how to not just take the breasts off a turkey, but what to do with the legs and the neck. And like, there's so many good videos out there. Don't be shy of Googling them up and asking friends for help.
Yeah. Actually, that was so we have a cookbook that we've been doing 2 years in a row. We're about to start our 3rd year of the cookbook, but we do a wild game cookbook that is submissions from women all over the United States that they send us their submissions. And it's for that purpose. Like, we have a lot of women that are like, I didn't know I wanted to, shoot a Canada goose because I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's how you can prep it, and here's how you can cook it from someone who cooks it all the time. So it's not going to taint your perspective. I tell people with wild game, try it more than twice because it might have just been cooked wrong the first time. So always try it again. But it's that purpose. And especially since so many people are wanting that sustainability, that they don't just want to hunt, they want to hunt for a purpose. So having that too, but circling back to what you were just talking about, you are the first person that's ever said to go to these banquets. And honestly, that didn't even click for me until you started talking about it, but it is so true. You're going to build those connections. You're going to build those relationships, whether it's Ducks Unlimited, Pheasants Forever, your Muley Foundations, like you're going to build that. Even if you don't have someone in your circle that's a hunter, you're going to make a friend there, and they're going to be so amped to help. I don't know many hunters that are here. Oh, you're a new hunter, I don't want to take you out. Like, that used to be a thing, but now I feel that we've really gotten to a point of, oh, you're new? Come with me. Let me help you. Like, let me introduce you to these people. And I do think that within the last, I would say 3 to 5 years, that has become more okay than when I was growing up. When I was growing up, it was like, oh, you're new? You can't come with us. Oh, you're a girl? You can't come with us. Which ultimately is how this company got started. Was I wasn't allowed at deer camp, wasn't allowed at fish camp. Well, screw you guys, I'll make my own. And it's manifested into this, but we went through a period where there wasn't the education. It wasn't okay for a new hunter. It wasn't okay for a female. And we saw this bridge happen at some point within the last few years where it was like, yeah, you're new and it's okay. Yes, I want to educate you. Yes, it's more than just a harvest. It's, field dressing and field to table, that education has become more prevalent than just go shoot it. Now you're on your own.
Absolutely. 100%. And, let's say you do take our advice and you contact a Mule Deer Foundation banquet or a Pheasants Forever banquet. And there's always a chairman of the banquet that you can call. And let's say they're like, dinner tickets are $100. Maybe you don't have an extra $100. Well, let them know that, like, I don't really have any extra money right now. Is there a way I can volunteer? And trust me, there's not a chapter who's going to not deny you to volunteer. And you might have to go and help set up the tables. And when the dinner's done, you break down the tables or you hand out, things on that, whatever. It's such simple little things that you get to help with, but that become a volunteer and you'll get to go to the banquets. Like, there's ways around it, and I can understand that getting new into hunting, especially during these challenging times right now, it can be economically challenging to get into it, but people are always excited for banquets, especially for newcomers to come and get involved, volunteer. There's also great organizations that will help you with used hunting equipment, used clothing. There's definitely resources out there. If you can't find the resources near you, I bet you a conservation group will help you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Plus, it's very rewarding to get out there and know that you're producing help for these conservation efforts too. I personally love to volunteer. I don't care if I even buy my spot to be there. I'll still be out there helping with raffle tickets or your high-low cards. And I just enjoy helping because you're raising money for that conservation, and it just makes you feel good at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yep.
I have all these topics. I'd like to turn back to you though, and I would like to talk about what your most rewarding hunt to you has been.
There's 2 of them that really stand out. I'll talk about them both briefly, but I just got done this last year with a do-it-yourself mountain goat hunt here in the state of Utah. And that was probably the most challenging hunt of my life. And next to my bighorn ram hunt, that was also 17 days. But it was a do-it-yourself hunt here in Utah, and it was in the Uintas, which is like the most gorgeous. I actually felt like I was hunting in Glacier National Park. That's how pretty it was. It was, if you watch that episode, it's the premiere episode of Skullbound Chronicles season 6 on Carbon. It's free to watch for everybody. literally your jaw is going to drop on how beautiful it is. Just gorgeous snow-capped mountains. It was a very physically demanding hunt, challenging. Also emotionally, like it got to be where the days were ticking on, and I had plenty of time. But the worrisome part is that if the blizzards come in, mountain goats are super hard to see in the snow. And then you're going to get snowed out. Like the roads to get up into where you want to go can get snowed out. But that hunt, truly, I had to push myself past my boundaries, especially because I'm afraid of heights. And we were literally dangling off cliffs at times where my brain is like, this is not smart. You should not be here. And my husband had to like seriously walk me through not quitting. There was a part where we were getting up to this saddle to see if we could look over to this goat that we spotted from 2 miles away. And I literally was like on top of this peak saddle that, yeah, I had probably 3 feet of rock to walk on, but then it was sheer drop off. And my brain looks at it like, you're going to die. You shouldn't be here. This is not smart, because I'm afraid of heights, where John's not afraid of heights at all. He had to literally come back and he's like, grab my back of my shirt and just look down at my feet and walk over the little edge. And when I finally got my goat down, we had to kind of shimmy across this sheer rock wall face that, on video, it's really hard. It doesn't show the steepness on video, but there was a stretch of this pea gravel that was like black lava rock pea gravel that was rock hard, and I couldn't get my feet in. And we only had, a couple feet to walk on the edge. And then it slid down about 30, 40 yards and then complete 1,500 vertical drop off. So I was afraid that if I slipped, I wouldn't be able to dig my feet in, and there were no trees, no bushes, no rocks to grab me. Crossing that stretch to go get my goat and back was terrifying to me, like to the bone, like terrifying. But my husband was so amazing. My cameraman, Heath, wasn't with me. He was with me for 6 days out of the 17, but then it was up to my husband to film the rest, just because the hunt was do it yourself and went on forever. But that was truly also, it just makes it so much more rewarding. When you're back down off the mountain and you're back to the truck, you can just breathe such a sigh of relief. And it's those moments where you're like, I just did that. Like, yeah, and I still have those all the time, even though I've been hunting all over the world and, all species. I definitely have moments where I can't believe I just did that, like, so awesome. And because we're all so different, we're all so unique in what, we find challenging, whether it's the cold temperatures or the steep climbs or the boredom of sitting in a tree stand all day long, or whatever the challenges might be to you. We're all different people. And, but those really, really challenging hunts are the ones that are just so incredibly rewarding. My bighorn ram was same. It was 17 days. It was really it was just tough because the rams weren't in that unit. We just couldn't find them. It wasn't like it was in Montana, but what people often think of bighorn rams in Montana, like the river breaks, the Missouri river breaks. This was not a Missouri river breaks tag. This was a different tag, and it was very heavily timbered unit. And so hard to find them. You couldn't sit in glass forever because there was not much to glass with all the timber. But we ended up getting that ram down, Heath and I, by ourselves. And that's actually the first episode of season 5, I believe. And again, one of the most amazing days on the planet was just to notch that tag, get that ram back to the truck and be like, we did it. We did it on our own. And, and you don't even have to have that I did it feeling off a big game hunt. What you could be out in South Dakota on a pheasant hunt and it be minus 10 degrees and you're freezing and you're cold and you ended up with a few birds, but that's an I did it moment. They're different for everybody and every situation is so different. But the more rewarding, the more challenging a hunt is, the more rewarding it is.
Absolutely. I always say that I really enjoy the suffer behind a hunt because it makes you appreciate it more. That I really enjoy that like grueling moment of pushing yourself beyond what you thought you were capable of doing. And especially as women, because sometimes I think we get in our own heads that we can't do something, that we push ourselves, almost talking ourselves out of completing a task. And I love when we get a band of women together that get in there and do it. And they're like a sisterhood and they're each other's cheerleaders. Take a group of girls in the mountains and they're like, no, let's go. Or like, stop looking back, keep looking, you know what I mean? Like pace yourself, or that independence, right? You have that female that's never done it and is like, I'm going to go do it on my own. And that reward of, okay, I've done this with others, but now I just did it myself.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I've had both those moments. I actually have a time or two when I have no cameraman with me and I'm not doing it for work. I'm just heading out, and those moments are so special when you're on your own and you're able to notch that tag. And it is, and it's stuff that really translates to the rest of your life. It really does. You can think of hard times in your life or challenging moments, and it gives you courage. It gives you that power of sustainability. Yeah, that freezer's full because I did that, and it really is amazing how hunting really does. It's a huge reflection on life. Lots of the challenges, the things, whether you're, new to a weapon and you have to learn a weapon, it can be intimidating. And then you find power in like, yeah, I learned how to use that pistol really efficiently, or I shot that bow and I ended up shooting a bull at 40 yards. And yeah, all of that it's translatable into real life in dealing with your job or your kids or your family. It just gives you courage and strength beyond the hunt.
Yes, absolutely. And like, you can have the worst day ever in the office and you can look back and be like, today's really not that bad because I just did that. Yeah. And you can reflect on that for the rest of your life. But it also brings so many memorable moments, which I'm sure that you have a ton of. Yeah. Were you pointing at the bear or the bighorn?
Everything, all taxidermy,
yes.
Memories. It's like you said, it's those memories. It really is for someone who, in fact, the last episode I just put out last month was my taxidermy. So we walked through the house and picked a couple of our favorites that I have on video. And we talked about the mount and why I did the mount the way I did and the hunt. And then my husband has a bunch of mounts too that he had on video. And so it's a really cool episode. We showed 10, 12 hunts with the taxidermy along with it. And, but that's what it is. These are our memories. Someone who didn't grow up with taxidermy might think it's really weird, right? That we have heads all over the house. But no, these are our furry memories that we can, I'm having my neighbors over tomorrow night for dinner. They've never been here before. And I can't wait to tell them all the stories, right? And they're not hunters. They're going to think it's super weird, but they're wonderful people. And they're going to, I bet, really appreciate the story behind it all. And there are not a lot of other things in life that do that. I mean, you might be in sports and get a trophy, right? Your trophy sits on your wall for you to look back and think of those memories. It's kind of like that, but even more so. And I don't know a lot of other pastimes or hobbies or sports that are like hunting that can do that.
Right. Yeah. And plus it's artwork. It's artwork with memories. I love taxidermy. My house, every time I shoot something, if it's something that withheld some sort of a memory, I'm a sentimental person. So like my dad's very first harvest in my lifetime was in Africa and he did a sable. And I was like, to me, that's the best harvest I've ever experienced in my life because hunting has become such a big passion for me that I finally got to experience it with him. Right. So like when it was time for taxidermy to come home, he doesn't want dead things in his house. My mom doesn't want them. So I was like, I'll take it and I'll mount it because I'll appreciate it. And my kids are damn sure going to appreciate that. And to me, that's what it's about. And everybody has their own tweaks of what they like or don't like. And I know, like, I'll show you this because you'll understand this because you were my inspiration.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So our listeners don't know what this is, but you did with the nut sack from your bighorn, you did a clutch with it. So mine is from an ibex.
I love it.
I was like, those things are what will tell you when you're in your circle of people, when you're making stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. I'm telling you, I made that purse as a conversation piece. It is so fun to wear that purse to sheep show, for example, because most people at sheep show know what that is. They're like, is that a purse for your jewels? Yes, it is.
Yes.
It's so fun too, like over the years of making different things. I have bear clothes made out of, because I hunt bear more than any other big game species because I just have the opportunity. There have been years where I've shot 4 bears in 1 year. This year I have 4 bear hunts this spring. I've made pillows, vests, purses, jackets, just really cool stuff that that are a little outside the box, like your coin purse. I think it's so fun to do something that you've never done before with a hide or claws or fur. I have jewelry with claws and teeth and ostrich claw necklace and just crazy cool stuff. And most of it's for conversation, like, what is that? People will be like, especially with the ostrich claw, it's huge. It's like, looks like a humongous piece of wood. And people will be like, what is that? And I'm like, it's actually the claw off the middle toe of an ostrich that I arrowed in Africa, because if they fight, which they do very often, and they break that claw, they'll die because they can't balance anymore without that claw. And so it's a reminder of me to have balance in my life. So it's cool to make pieces like your purse and other things to have a conversation piece with people. And now, mind you, I'm sure half the world will think they're disgusting, but I don't care. That's not my half.
No, same. And that's what I meant by you know your people in a room like that, and it's appreciative. Plus you're utilizing more of that animal that typically is going to get tossed away, right? So it's, to me, I like that aspect too, to utilize as much as possible.
Yep, me too. I love that as well.
So we're going to jump to one more commercial break to hear from our sponsors, but we'll be right back.
And now to the final segment to this week's episode of Women of the Wild podcast. We will conclude this segment by thanking our closing sponsors. Stay tuned for more of this week's episode after this short word from our sponsors. Muzzy Pheasant Farms, a mid-Michigan family-owned and operated pheasant game preserve that is open year-round. Muzzy offers educational courses and hunts. They are family-oriented, creating a great opportunity for new and seasoned upland hunters. With no membership required, come hunt with Muzzy Pheasant Farms. You can find more information at muzzypheasantfarms.com or check them out on Facebook and Instagram. Blast and Cast Guide Service is a veteran-owned and operated Michigan-based guide service for the Great Lakes. With decades of experience of fishing and waterfowl, they ensure a safe and enjoyable trip every time. You can check them out at blastandcastguideservice.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Ultimate Veteran Adventures. UVA offers outdoor therapy, recreation, and camaraderie through hunting and fishing adventures around the country for veterans, active duty military, Gold Star families, and first responders. You can find them at ultimateveteranadventures.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Sawmill Creek Bait and Lures, a husband and wife owned and operated company, the home of the C4, one of the best trapping canine lures on the market. You can find them at sawmillcreekbaitandlures.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Wicked 7 Outdoors, a Southwest Texas outfitter guide service with an exceptional care and quality of backcountry mountain hunts for free-range aoudad. Also offering high fence and low fence exotics, come immerse yourself in the outdoor experience. You can find Wicked 7 Outdoors on Facebook and Instagram. Misguided Outdoors is a female-driven Michigan-based guide service offering turkey and waterfowl hunts. Misguided is focused on educating women and youth, providing a hands-on hunt experience for all ages. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram. We thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the rest of this episode.
Welcome back. We are here wrapping up our episode with Jana Waller, and it has been so much fun talking to you. You are such a relatable hunter too. A lot of times when you see people who have a TV show or something like that, people find it very hard, like, to relate to that. And I think that you have been a very big inspiration because you stay so humble, you stay so honest, and you stay true to yourself. And I think that's really important to anyone in the outdoors that is trying to make this into more than just a hobby for themselves, to kind of hold your balance, like you were just saying with the ostrich claw. So I really want to ask you that is, what is it that makes you stay humble, stay true to yourself? Is there like a motto that you have that has kept you just such an honest, good-hearted person through all of this, and you haven't let all the negativity taint you in others? What holds you true to that?
I think it's because what I appreciate most in people are people who are authentic. And I've always tried to just stay authentic, and I really appreciate those kind words. That means more to me than you could imagine. I think everyone has an energy around them we are really just big blobs of energy, right? But we all have energies about them. And when I meet someone and they're they're just real and they're down to earth and authentic and loving. Like those are the kind of people I'm attracted to. So I try really hard to always be kind and be myself and not, and really we're all, the whole concept of fame is so weird in and of itself. And then to take that down into the hunting industry, the whole concept of fame is really weird too. Like we're all just the same, we're all just hunters who live for the hunt, who want to get out there. And I certainly have come across a couple of TV people who think that they're all that. Very few, just a couple. But it's like, what in the world? This is the hunting industry. Like, first of all, you could literally poll the entire United States and 99.9% of them might not have even heard of Jim Shockey. Let's just be real. Like, I mean, in the grand scheme of life, let's just be real. But I do think it's super important to just stay authentic. And I've tried really hard to always be that way. I'm just a big goofball at heart anyway. Anyone who knows me knows I'm just a screw loose. And, I really love to laugh. I love to be funny. And I love to keep it real. And I hope that, like, your comment describing me really almost makes me want to cry, because I've tried to always be that, very approachable. I run all my own social media. I don't have anyone answering questions for me, and, just try to, and it is sometimes hard to get back to everybody, but I just think it's really important in life in general to just be authentic.
Yes, absolutely. And I think and that's kind of why I brought that up, is because it's not always, you can tell if you comment on something or message someone, whether you're getting who you were talking to, right? And you, for many years, you'll engage in comments, and you're so receptive to these people. And I agree with you. The whole fame thing, I've never quite understood it, and I'm not there. Like, but I'm like, if my mission is always true to education, I don't care how many likes or follows I have. That doesn't matter. If I did one thing that inspired or educated one person, it served its purpose. And at the end of the day, I don't care about anything else. As long as I'm doing my part and I'm staying ethical, you're doing your job, right? And to see someone like you, and I truly do mean those things, because I think that there is a lot of negativity out there. And I think you bring a different light and perspective it's attractive. It's something you engage with, that you want to see more, you want to read more. And at the end of the day, I feel that someone like you is bringing more education, because people are more willing to listen to what you have to say, because they can relate to you.
That's so sweet. I really appreciate that. I hope that's always the case. I hope that people reach out and, are willing to ask questions and just, engage. I wish sometimes I had more time on social media and stuff to talk, but I really appreciate those kind words. It truly means a ton.
Yeah. And so social media can be super time consuming. So you need that break and you need to step away from it. So with that being said, do you want to give kind of a drop of where people can find you, whether it's social media, whether it's your shows? And I know we talked about it a little bit with Carbon and now, but to kind of give that last plug of drops of where someone can find you and where they can watch your shows.
Sure. So they can find me on social media through Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Those are the only 3 platforms I'm on. I'm either Skullbound or Skullbound Chronicles, and it's me. If you message me, it's me getting back to you. If they want to watch the shows, the only really place to watch my new episodes is Carbon TV. So Skullbound Chronicles has all my new shows. Every new show I put out goes on to Chronicles. After it's been on Chronicles for a year, it shifts over to my Fast channel. So Skullbound TV is all 14, 15 years of all my episodes just circulating. But the best place to watch new episodes or on-demand episodes, like, oh, I want to watch that bear hunt or that turkey hunt, that's on Skullbound Chronicles on Carbon TV. It's a free app on your phone, or you can watch it on your big TV, either by casting smartphone to smart TV. If you have a Roku stick, you can go into the main settings on Roku, and there's a part where it says find channels or add channel, and you type in Carbon TV in the search, it'll pop up. It'll ask you if you want to add it to your menu, hit yes, and there it is, right on your Roku menu next to your Netflix, Amazon, whatever. You can do the same thing with a Fire Stick too, as well. And now they just signed a big deal with all Vizio TVs will have the same capability. You can go into the Vizio TVs, and I believe you go into the settings, into the apps, and you type in Carbon TV, and you can add Carbon TV right onto your main long menu of channels on your Vizio TV and on Samsung TVs 2017 or newer. So it really has gone from an app to mainstream TV. It's super fun.
Yeah, they've made it very easy because it used to be hard, right? It used to be like outdoor channels and like you said, like YouTube's. But I'm excited because Mountain Goat is one of my like bucket list, and I haven't seen that episode yet. So that's actually what the kids and I are watching tonight. So I'm really excited.
Let me know what you think. Yeah, it's a long one. So my episodes can be anything from 8 to 10 minutes to a half hour. This one's, I think, over a half hour. It's a long one, but it goes fast. There's lots of cool stuff in it. It was hard to boil 17 days, down to one episode. But H2O Productions, Heath Helgert is my producer, and he is just he's a magician when it comes to storytelling. So I hope you like that one. It's a really special one to me too.
Yes. Yeah, it's wonderful. Well, I appreciate you so much. I would love for our listeners to go on and check you out, especially our ladies that are out there that need that connection to understand where they do belong in the outdoors. Every woman, if this is what you want to do, you do belong out here. Don't let anybody tell you you don't. If you need any way to connect with getting in the outdoors, maybe you're listening, you're tuning in, and you're like, after hearing something like this, I want to go do this. Reach out, start that conversation with anyone, whether it's, your DNR, whether it's your Pheasants Forever, whether it's an organization like Women of the Wild or your bow or anything like that, that's in your state. Find it, because there's people willing to help you, and we'd love to have you. Jana, I just want to say thank you so much. I very much appreciate you, and I look forward to connecting more in the future. You're so welcome. This was such a fun chat, and I've got a crazy busy spring, so maybe in the fall we'll hop on again and we'll tell some crazy bear stories. I'm going on my very first grizzly. Well, no, I've been grizzly hunting before, but I'm going on my first hunt where I have a tag. So my husband and I are going in June, which is going to be that's my last bucket list hunt. I have some other hunts I haven't done that I'd like to, but in terms of bucket list, that's my last bucket list hunt. So I'm really excited. So I'll have to come back on and we'll chat all about it. Oh, I would love to hear it. I've been bear hunting. I've never been successful. So that is something that I love to hear the stories about. Oh, we could do just a bear hunting episode. You let me know when you want to do it. I'm game. Absolutely. I'd love to talk about it. Okay. Sounds great. Thanks for having me on. Thank you so much.